Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you might have seen on previous shows, we had the EICMA show in Italy. It's the biggest show in the world, and they launched a ton of motorcycles, and we're going to have fun. We're going to go through them all. An interesting brand that was there this year, and the fact that they were there says a lot because, you know, they're an up-and-coming brand. CF Moto. Now, we featured them on the show a few weeks ago. They had the South African launch at the Formula K circuit, so they are officially here in South Africa, and they were rather good. I mean, we both rode them, and they were
I think we used the term not what you'd expect.
Yeah.
They were well built. They seemed like very good quality, and they were fun to ride, and that's what a motorbike's all about.
Mostly well priced.
Well, yeah. Look, I felt that the pricing was very close to some of the mainline stuff, so they're going to have to overcome that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the latest superbike that they're
going to actually build superbikes. So here's a big deal. So previously, the Chinese would build small, mostly commuter bikes, scooters, that sort of thing, which is fine, well priced, you know, all that kind of thing. Now, more recently, they've been building sort of mid-range adventure bikes, naked bikes, and, you know, very, very good, very, very nice.
And they've been racing MotoGP.
Now, hang on. So CF Moto have a connection with KTM. It's well known. They build some of the KTM stuff. They have a marketing connection. In fact, David Alonso, who won the Moto3 championship, was effectively on a CF Moto bike. It's actually a KTM with CF Moto stickers, but you see what I mean? So there is a really good connection there. Now CF Moto are really taking things up a bit. I mean, building mid-range bikes and commuters and that is one thing. They're now going into the world of super bikes.
Yep.
And the first one is this. It's called the CF Moto 675 SR-R. Try saying that when you're drunk.
Where have I heard 675 before?
675, and it's
I wonder how they get away with that.
So it's a 3-cylinder motor, 675. As I say, you might reckon
triple. Where have I heard that before?
British company,
Wow.
Superior, winning.
No,
Triumph.
this is going to confuse the hell out of everybody. But this has got a double RRR on the end.
It has. So Triumph made a 675, and as we're doing now, we're being very stereotypical, and I must admit, I did assume this.
Correct.
I assumed that they somehow got hold of the motor from Triumph, bought it, copied it, whatever, and it's a 675. In fact, it's not.
They didn't.
It's not. It just happens to have the same capacity numbers and all of that kind of thing, but it is in fact a completely different motor. Well, we know this because it's got a much smaller bore.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, and if it's got a smaller bore, it's got a longer stroke, which means it's less revvy, more sort of torquey, more, not necessarily as fast, but easier, and perhaps even more fun to ride.
Well, we'll see. Time is in the setting, but for the less technical people, your derivative of the engine size is calculated in two ways. One is, as Donovan says, bore size, bigger or smaller, so many cc's, and then the second way is in your stroke.
Exactly.
So we'll have to do a feature on that because even I don't know.
Yeah, you've got me tongue-tied. But anyway, bigger stroke just kind of means more torquey.
More chugga.
When you stroke, people talk. Well, anyway.
So it shouldn't be a screamer. In other words,
it's not going to be
less of a screamer.
Well, put it this way: the 675 from Triumph made 105 horsepower.
Yeah.
This one is they claimed 95 horsepower, which is still pretty good. It's
Very
also
usable
70
power.
newton meters of torque. You just kind of get the idea that it's going to be just a not necessarily the fastest bike in the world. They're saying somewhere around 220 kilometers per hour is, I think, what I saw they kind of claim. So not the fastest bike in the world, but it should be jolly good fun. More good news, it was designed by an Italian. So yeah, it's got this whole sort of Italian design about it.
And it looks beautiful.
It looks pretty. It's a very pretty motorcycle.
Yeah. The new designs are quite astonishing. Even the current range of CFs that we saw, the design and the finish was excellent.
Some of them were excellent, absolutely excellent. Yeah. It's got a steel trellis tubular frame, which everyone seems to be using these days. It works very well. 198 kilograms, which is more or less on spec. It's got KYB suspension. As we keep saying, KYB seems to be the trend these days.
Correct.
Very, very
it's
good
high-end suspension for, once again, a Chinese motorcycle. They're not using the in-house brand. They've gone to KYB. They're looking for componentry.
Exactly. So that's very, very good news. It's also got a bit of technology on it. It's got a TFT dash that with Bluetooth connectivity, connect to your phone. I'm probably going to have navigation, all that sort of thing. Traction control, ABS, and a quick shifter up. So
it's cool. All standard out the box.
Motorcycles.
And from what we saw on the models that we rode, certainly the TFT screen, the rider modes, it's all very intuitive. You can see that the guys have done their homework. and it worked very well on the existing models. So this is something quite exciting, and it's a proper superbike from a Chinese manufacturer, which is that in itself makes you raise your eyeballs and say, things that make you go,
But hang on, okay, we're going to go a step further. Oh, it's also got, you're going to have to help me with this.
Zhejiang brakes?
Zhejiang calipers, which, quite frankly, the first time I saw that, I sort of went, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but then you go and do your homework, you'll see it. They actually fitted on a lot of the European brands.
Yeah, in fact, right now, in your garage right now, you have the new Husqvarna Svartpilen 801. And it has got
Zhejiang brakes.
Zhejiang brakes.
And they felt fine. I rode the bike last night, went to a launch, came back.
Well, you're here, so they must have worked.
Nah, the brakes are
fine.
There
we go.
It's all good, yeah.
So there we go. Lots of excitement there. But it doesn't just end there for CF Moto. That's a 675 mid-rangey sort of super bike.
What do they say in the classic? But wait, there's more.
CF Moto also unveiled a new motor. Now, it's not the first time they've unveiled it. Was at the EICMA show. They discussed it before, and I think it was unveiled in China before. This is the first time in the European world. It's a CF Moto in-house built V4 superbike engine, which I believe is 1,000cc, makes 209 horsepower, which is pretty much up there.
It's respectable.
It's up there. I mean, it's more than a R1. It's more than a Kawasaki ZX10.
But I think the point here, Donovan, it's not your typical single-cylinder delivery bike engine.
Yeah.
These guys, up until now, they've played with parallel twins and maybe a single and a this and a that and the triple. This is a V4. It's high-tech stuff that these guys are dabbling with. And it's so cool to see that the focus isn't all on electric. Yeah. This is a massive brand, a really huge brand, spending proper money on the internal combustion engine.
It's very exciting. Now, they say it weighs 61 kilograms, which apparently is pretty good. I haven't lifted many superbike motors, but it sounds great. Sounds about right.
I've carried a CRF 230 engine. It doesn't weigh 60 kilograms. Yeah.
They say it's going to go in a superbike. They haven't unveiled any superbike. There are these very futuristic looking photographs and drawings of the thing, and it's all very exciting. So this might be a lot of fun.
And Don, honestly, if their current range of motorbikes is anything to go by, it should be very impressive.
It should
be.
The
biggest trick that CF Moto has to work their way around is getting the pricing right. Until they've earned the title or the kudos of the mainline brands, they're going to have to kind of be competitive.
They are getting there, though. I mean, I know they're new in South Africa, but overseas, people are already going, wow, we look at these
without a shadow of a doubt. And I spoke to the guys from CF Moto last night. The first shipments of their bikes are on their way. They'll be on showroom floors soon. So that's exciting stuff for them, you know.
So speaking of new motors, you have an exciting new motor.
Well, guys, also unveiled was a Honda. It's a, what do you call it? They've kind of got the design right. They've got and they presented an actual engine. It's is it correct to say a V3 4-stroke engine? How cool is that? Yeah, so two cylinders in the front, one at the back, 4-stroke. And now, if you're a tech geek, you'll understand it's a lot more simple to build a 2-stroke V3. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a 4-stroke. You need 2 cam chains and all the little bits and bobs, and make the valves all open and close at the same time.
Because Honda originally built in the 80s, they had V3 2-stroke 500 Grand Prix motors.
Yeah, and the NSR 400. That's the 4-stroke.
400, yeah.
Very different. But what makes this really interesting to me is it looks to me like it's going to be mid-range capacity with a big fat supercharger on it.
And not just any supercharger, it's an electrically powered supercharger. Now, okay, so as we said, they haven't given a specific displacement. What they're saying is that it's going to be mid to high displacement. So they're obviously going to use this configuration for a few different motors.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is you're finding a lot of the guys these days, or manufacturers, aren't really improving their motors in terms of performance.
Yeah.
They got their engineers spending all their time and money and whatever into complying with all the Euro 5, 9 plus -3
You're not allowed to make smoke, but we can fly airplanes. That's
we can fly them.
That's no problem.
So they've been complying with all of this. Now, in the car industry, the way they've complied with all the Euro everything is they build smaller motors with superchargers or turbos. So the smaller motor puts out less emissions, but the turbo means that it produces power.
It increases the power. So and I suspect Honda is a giant.
Yeah.
They've probably taken a lot of their technology from the cars in order to do this. That's the beauty of having a giant in our trade. And once again, I'm going to say It's not a new electric engine. They are working around the internal combustion motor to make it a practical fit.
Exactly.
And it's going to be flipping brilliant. It looks awesome.
I can't wait. While we're going to stick with Honda, there's been an update to the very, very popular CRF 300 E-Rally. I don't know why they call it an E-Rally.
The Rally. It comes with the Rally kit. There's two. There's the Naked and the Rally. And as I understand it, once again, it has to comply with all the new emission laws. They are very popular abroad. Apparently, it's one of the biggest selling bikes in Europe. So obviously, Honda had to give it a lot of love and attention. Every bike that's brought into South Africa, they sell. It's that simple. It's very seldom you find these things sitting idle. So they've complied with EU stuff. You'll probably know the bikes. It's got proper big wheels, proper upside down suspension by Showa, and it's a really capable motorcycle. And the other big update for this year, LED technology. I mean, that's it. Everything's going LED. And Honda have tweaked the bike for us a little bit.
Motor, I believe it stays very much similar. 286cc liquid-cooled single produces 27.3 horsepower and 26.6 newton meters, which is, I mean, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's bang on, and it's one of these sort of bikes that you can go absolutely anywhere on. So,
and it's well priced and fun to ride. That's
exactly
what it has to be.
And the nice thing is that they've gone to the whole putting it up to Euro 5 plus. Emission compliance means it takes a lot of work, which means Honda is very dedicated to that model, which means it's going to keep on going, and that's good news to anybody. So well done, Honda there.